motions and have them seconded, that we have a very, very clear motion on the floor to make sure that there's no misunderstanding about what our intent was when we do a motion on the floor. So as you make your motions, let's make them very clear. We'll make sure that Angela reads them back to us so we know what we're voting on, and then we'll go forward from there. And that is all that I have right now.
Before we get too far ahead, I need to extend extreme regrets this morning. He is at an emergency dental appointment. And he's on my phone on speaker.
Oh my gosh.
But he will not be joining us in person.
Okay.
Everyone's going to be seasick once I move the video.
I need to move.
No, this is great. Thank you. I think this is just right.
I'll move those two chairs too.
All right. I'll put it back. Oh, thank you. That will be great.
Actually, Greg's gonna do that. I was waiting until she moved the camera. Greg, if you go ahead and do the invitation.
Sure. Heavenly Father, thank you for just another beautiful day in the Ozarks, and Lord, appreciate the acts of service of everybody here, and the leadership that we have. Just thank you for continuity and your grace and mercy on us. We pray for those that are with us today, specifically Kurt. He's having some emergency surgery, and pray that all goes well. Lord, we don't know what's going on in everybody else's life, but we know that you're the intercessor there, and we just ask that you be with us and counsel us today and give us guidance and direction, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And I'm sorry, I reversed the agenda there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, if we want to look through the agenda and approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Next, we're moving on to the minutes of January 20th of 2026.
I will make a motion to approve the previous minutes agenda.
Okay. That's January 20th of 2026.
Yes.
I will second that motion.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Okay. Angela, would you mind doing the quarter one financial review, please?
Your March 31st balance sheet ended with cash of $2,338,454, and the expected amount of receivables and payables in that group. The income statement is for 3 months. I didn't see any reason to torture you with 3 individual months, so they're all together. Sales tax is a little behind what is expected. On this sheet that shows the cash spreads in the year-to-date budget, I think I was a little over aggressive in predicting what we would have. When we get back to the tax history sheet, I'll show you why. Revenues are progressing otherwise as we would expect. We're under on total marketing spending, but there's 4 line items where we are actually over where the cash spreads, but again, that's the cash spreads, not over the budget, the real budget. We're still within line, but Derek's asked that we keep a closer eye on that this year to make sure we finish within. The operating budget is in line. I think all of the accounting software purchase is done this month, so it may look a little funny next month, but it's all installed, it's all working, and we are now doing our books in the cloud. That's what everybody wants. The tax history shows an 11.7% increase over last February's business sales. There was quite a bit of concern last month when we came in almost 21% down, but the total variance year to date between the 2 years is $150,000. So it's not a huge amount of money. It looks like a big percentage, and it kind of is, but leaves us 10.2% down for the year. City of Branson sales taxes do not have a breakdown by category this month for the tourism tax, but the updated tourism tax number was there, and April was 16.6 over last April, and they're up 5.3% year to date. That's what
Isn't today April 21st? How can we have April numbers already? How does that work?
This sheet from the city is not reported in the same time frame that we put it. We base it on business sales.
Uh-huh.
They reported on this sheet in the month collected, so those were April collections on April
Okay,
seventh, the money
okay.
magically appeared. So it's hard to compare sometimes, but
Apples and apples, yes. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the financial review?
I will make a motion to approve the financials.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Aaron McCullough, it's your turn for the EBT financial report.
Good morning, thank you. You have in front of you the EBT for Branson Tourism Statement of Activities. That is also for, if you look at the year-to-date numbers, that includes the first quarter. So we're looking at January, February, and March expenses and revenues that we brought in. Wanted to highlight a couple of things in that report for you. You will see that we brought in some grant money at the beginning of the year. That is not typically when we bring in grant money. The sports team was able to apply for Missouri Amateur Sports Tax Credits. They're not actually tax credits, that's the name of the program, but they're not actually tax credits. That is a rebate that comes back to us. And so dollars that were spent out of the Opportunity Fund in previous years were then refunded back from the state. And so we are remitting those back to the district in the form of that grant. So you see the grant for $16,800 at the top. That was the Missouri Amateur Sports Tax Credit. There will be another one of those payments, and you will see that in April. And then so then moving forward, that's about a year offset. Things that happened in the previous year will get reimbursed in the next year. On publications revenue, there were 3 vacation guide payments that came in at the beginning of this year off of last year's vacation guide sales. There is one current vacation guide invoice that is partially open. Everything else has been collected on the vacation guide. On the dues and memberships expense line, there's an expense in there for SimpleView CRM, which is our sales database, and we use that for all of our communications. The district pays a portion of that, but they do not pay the entire bill, but they pay a portion of that bill. That is $20,000 annually, and so that is a portion of why that line is over budget year to date, but should not be over budget by the end of the year. On the sponsorship expense line, we had several sales shows that we attended at the beginning of the year, particularly ADA and Travel and Adventure Show. So there are several expenses related to those events in sponsorship. Printing, obviously we have the vacation guide printing that came in at the beginning of the year, $140,000, so that is in there. On the PR side, there were a couple quarterly payments to Dan Shepard, so that was a timing issue. We had to make the second quarterly payment in March. And then research, there were, again, some annual payments that we made at the beginning of the year, so the monthly payments will actually be lower, and that should catch up by the end of the year. And then lastly, on the meetings line, you see $100,000 on the meetings line. We had a multi-year commitment with Connect, and so we were able to prepay for registrations for the entire year for Connect, $100,000. And again, so that we will be able to use those for all of our salespeople as they travel to Connect North, Connect Faith, the other Connect events. And then as part of that multi-year commitment, we will have a Connect event in Branson. Questions on any of the expenses, revenues, any other activity?
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that sports grant? Is that
Yes.
something new, or?
It is somewhat new, and, the city opportunity fund actually takes advantage of it a little bit more, just because of how their opportunity fund is structured. And we will talk about that a little bit more when we talk about changes to our allowable costs, that we are asking for. Currently, because of the way the opportunity fund is structured, only really large events are able to take advantage of the district opportunity fund. And so there were just a couple of events in '24, I think one event in '25 that had district reimbursement. But essentially the way that operates, we apply for those funds at the end of the year with the state of Missouri, and then they pay that back to us. Again, it is based on participants or room nights or ticket sales at the event. And so we try to align the opportunity fund request with what we expect to get back from the state. And the goal with that is just to continue to feed back into the opportunity fund to create more opportunities for as many groups as possible.
Yeah. Hopefully that can grow.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So the sports team is planning to have it grow, including both the district opportunity fund and the city opportunity fund. We brought in, is it 30 last year? 36,000 in '25. We brought in from the state of Missouri 67,000, 68,000 in '26, and they're expecting how much more next year? More next year. I don't have that number. Obviously, we aren't finished with this year, but they're anticipating it is growing. And so as we're able to take advantage of those state dollars, that brings in more revenue that we can incentivize more other groups.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
May I have a motion to approve Aaron's report, please?
Move to approve the EBT monthly financial report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Aaron's report. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay. Ashley, it looks like your turn. Good morning. Good morning.
Next time these will be in your packet, I'm just removing the covering. This is the opportunity fund report for the first quarter.
Thank you.
Thanks. You're welcome. So for the first quarter with the opportunity fund, we have 3 commitments right now that are going to be paid out if we get all of their paperwork back on time. We've sent communications out to all 3 of those. They're listed there on the first page. They have to return to us documentation proving that they met the requirements before we pay them out, as you know. And so we're waiting to hear back from those and working with them on that. So to date, we've spent just over $1,000 out of the opportunity fund for some Connect South Faith planners, as Aaron was just mentioning. We're hosting Connect South and Faith in November here in Branson. And so we have them in market to walk through the space and take advantage of a site visit. And then we also had a couple of film industry people in town, which we're utilizing off-funds for some of those expenses as well. So right now, we're at a total of $101,000 committed for 2026, which leaves us with a remaining balance of $74,000 still yet to be committed. We're gonna have a discussion today about allowable cost policy and some uses for the opportunity fund that we could maybe be a little more creative with how we use that so that we can utilize all those funds appropriately. But we feel confident we'll be able to make sure we have a use for them. So, second page, if you turn, is the future commitments today. So this is gonna show you by year. The first section shows you kind of the rest of 2026 outside of this quarter. Then it goes into 27 and 28. So currently for 2028, we're at right around 102,000 commitments, and for for 27, and then for 2028, we're right at 47,000. So as we continue to meet with planners, they book multiple years in advance, and so we will start to see those commitments come through for our future years as well. Also included, when you get this in the digital version, you can tell these are linked, so you can see all of the Opportunity Fund letters of what we've actually committed with the partners. Yeah, so that's where we're at with Opportunity Fund. Any questions?
How many years do people spend on the Opportunity Fund? I know that we do that to kind of attract business
Yeah.
here. Do we have a limit on the number of years, or?
There's not a limit on years, but there is limitations around the group has to prove that they're growing year over year. We will entertain multi-year agreements, and we have, typically it's on a 2 to 3 year basis if we do that. And the requirement is they have to show 5% growth year over year in order to continue on that, and they agree to that up front. So.
Is that a fairly new requirement? Wasn't that last year?
I think that was added, yes.
So the current groups are not necessarily.
There could be a
Okay.
couple of commitments that were maybe 2 years
Prior.
ago, yes, yes, but moving forward from last year to this year. Any other questions?
Anybody else?
Okay, thank you.
We don't need to approve that. Okay, line of credit renewal recommendation.
It's time to renew our line of credit with Branson Bank. And that is the tool that allows us to extend our budget a little bit when we need to. And I believe we have didn't look up the amount before I left, what the amount of line of credit.
200,000?
Do you know off the top?
How much is outstanding or zero?
What is it?
Zero outstanding, but what is our max line?
I was thinking like 2.7 maybe?
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, I was thinking 3, so in that neighborhood is what the line of credit is. The board seeks your recommendation for approval. We renew that in April of each year moving forward. The end of this year, we will be doing a banking RFP, so that's why it goes through March 31st. That's why we do it April, so that we're in line with our RFP.
So,
You have some new people that will have signature cards that need to be updated or something?
Not at this point,
No, okay, good,
we may.
yeah.
so Grant, if we make a motion to approve a line of credit for 3 million, is that, I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just asking a question. If we made a motion to approve a line of credit of 3 million, is that a problem, or does it need to be?
Well, I think all we're approved, it's a 4-year commitment.
This
and
is
I
the
don't-
fourth
I don't-
year.
It's a
This is the
4
first
year.
year, I thought we approved it for another year.
We did it late last year, that's why we're on time this year. So-
Yeah, but we committed for the duration of
For the 4 years?
RFP, so.
It's, political subdivisions have to approve annual contracts annually. We
Right.
can't approve a multi-year, so every year, it's like when we do our, legal services and the EBT contract and those things. They all have to be done once a year to say that, yes, we wanna move forward, so
So
that's
this is
what-
year 3 of 4, is that what I'm
This is
understanding?
the 4th year
Okay.
coming forward.
Okay. I make a motion to renew it,
To recommend for renewal?
to recommend to renew the
Do we
line
need-
of credit.
Do we need to
Branson Bank.
specify the amount of that line of credit?
It's fixed, it's already.
It's fixed, okay.
The contract's already
Okay.
set, yeah.
Is it, I assume it's the same terms as the current terms? I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the line of credit renewal. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Okay. Please let the record note that Greg Baker abstained. Discuss request for reimbursement of 2025 marketing invoice. Do we have any information on that?
Was it not shared?
No, it was not shared.
Oh, okay. Well, on March 17th, we sent an email to Kirk and Angela asking for a request for consideration of payment for an invoice from KSHB TV, Scripps Media, in the amount of $10,000 for the One Tank Road Trip campaign that took place in the fall. We received over 2 million impressions from, and unfortunately, they did not follow our guidelines of turning in their invoices on time. and did not use our email address invoices@bransoncvb.com, so that all of leadership received that invoice. And they are asking for that invoice to be paid, and we are as well, because they're good partners with us. And with all of the steps that we've taken to improve our invoicing structure and payment of invoices on time, this was the only one that fell through the crack in 2025. And we would like consideration of that invoice to be paid,
How much did you say it was, I'm sorry?
10,000. And it was part of the One Tanks Road Trip campaign that we did. And I can forward the email that had been sent previously to Kirk and Angela and ask for it to be forwarded to all of you if you'd like.
Is that something that these rollover funds maybe could be used for?
Money is money, however you'd like to pay for the invoice.
I think it would have to stay in the 26 budget simply because we've already closed our 25 year and the auditor hasn't. So it would need to be.
So we're asking for a budget exception to 2025.
You're asking for an
to pay
exception
this.
to the policy of dates.
Okay. Discussion?
I mean, at the end of the day, it was a commitment that was made on our behalf. I mean, I just think we just need to make sure that we educate the folks that are invoicing in the future. I mean, we got what we paid for, so.
I completely agree, and I've had some very stern conversations with them, and they understand that when this happens with any vendor, we let them know very clearly that they're at risk of having a contract or an agreement in the future if they cannot follow the invoicing procedures. So they understand very clearly.
So how's this gonna affect our 2025 year end?
It will not, it will stay in 26.
Yeah, it's just gonna have to
Okay.
be paid in 26.
I'll make a motion to pay the invoice as stated by Heather.
So the motion is to recommend to the board to pay the invoice, right?
Okay.
Right.
Recommend to the
Am I
board.
right? Yeah, it gets confusing.
Okay.
Recommend reimbursing the
Yes.
$10,000 Scripps invoice.
Yes,
I second.
thank you.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the Scripps invoice for $10,000. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, now the 2025 marketing budget rollover funds.
All right. I went back through the 2025 budget and included all possible places to claw money back where we did not spend or where revenues were over. And the bottom line I came up with was $856,031 that would be available to roll over. I did not include intergovernmental revenues in that calculation because it's still undetermined whether the city of Branson's final payment on the Chiefs agreement will be booked in December or January. The auditor is considering the options there. It was not a gain if it's booked in 2026, so I just left that component out of the calculation. And that is what I would see as a reasonable amount to roll into the 2026 budget as additional marketing funds.
Any questions of Angela? I have just a question or a comment based upon the revenue information we've been seeing. We may need that to kind of catch up if our revenues stay off the way that they are, or, so I don't know if we should commit to spend it or just have it as maybe a slush fund.
Well, it really goes against my nature, but I understand with marketing, when the revenues go down, the marketing goes up.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
So it's,
That's
why you
when
sit
it's
up there
down,
and
it's
I
a
don't.
reason to spend more. It is counterintuitive, but I think, let the marketers do their,
Usually, Q1 is a very poor indication of the year as well. I mean, things are winding down. Not much going on first quarter.
But Heather's gonna change that.
Well, when business becomes slow, the thing that you don't do is say, oh, let's pump the brakes and not tell people who we are and what we're doing. Instead, you pump the gas and you increase your efforts so that you can make an impact. That's always the goal in a responsible, fiscally responsible way to drive that message and really attract our drive market, even more so.
And the number was, we're off 150,000, was that what, so I mean, it's not a huge, I'd be careful to say we're, you know, in a deficit situation, or we are,
Right,
but in a slow year or anything like that, because we know these numbers are always strange.
And
I mean,
we're
they-
looking forward to the first week of May when
I
the
mean,
starts positive.
how many times have we had a month up, just some crazy number that makes no sense, and we still don't know why ever, and,
Yeah.
There's too many variables in your reporting, that's part of the issue.
Yeah,
A
that's
lot of
true.
it's
That is
so
very
lag,
true.
there's so much lag in indicators,
Yep.
it's really difficult to.
There is, and it's based on business payment timing. It's when Department of Revenue receives your money
Yeah.
is when it's recorded, and that complicates it, it's in place behind.
And to be fair to just both sides of the conversation, for folks that weren't in it, we did have a special meeting called where Tim Hagan reported some things to look out for, like a 10-year low for some industries in the spring break time frame. So just not sounding an alarm, but being cognizant that stakeholders in the community have put it on the record, just to let people know, like, hey, something to look out for, not to panic about, but to be informed about. And I think that was the spirit of those comments that we shared a couple weeks ago, so.
Well, the other thing too, the city of Branson revenues are up. You know, we're down, they're up, so.
Angela, I know you said you went through the budget and you looked at the areas that we'd saved or overrun, but does the bank account actually reflect that there's $856,000 more in there than what we would have had budgeted to be in there?
On the back of the sheet is a reconciliation of cash. Our general rule of thumb is we would like to end December with $1 million balance in the bank. If we expend and commit these $850,000, that ending cash balance would be $1.48 million. Would have been on December 31st. It brings it back close to in line with our goals for cash.
That's all in operating account.
Any other questions or comments, recommendations?
What is the number?
850 would be a round number.
Okay. 856, okay, we were at 856, but I think on the recommendation, it would be 850, would be.
Sure.
Okay.
Whatever you're feeling.
Well, yeah, sounds good.
That's a good round number, Mac.
Yeah. Well, I make a motion to recommend to move $850,000 rollover into this year's budget.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor to move $850,000 from 2025 budget to 2026 budget. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Who was the second one? I'll learn your voice.
It'll be on video. Okay, next we're moving on to the allowable cost policy discussion.
See real quick.
Yes,
So we moved $850,000 into the budget. Do we have to say where? Or
no,
we just
they
do that?
give us the recommendations.
Okay.
And that is what the plan is to bring the recommendation from Explore Branson to MOC next month, provided the board affirms this recommendation. Then they'll bring us the plan to MOC and then it will come back to board.
Yeah. Any questions? Okay, let's move on to the allowable cost policy.
When we started talking about this 4 or 5 months ago, there were some suggestions from Explore Branson, and their team has met, and Erin is handing out what their recommendations are, things they'd like to see changed. But it is also the time of year that we review our policy and see if there's anything that we see needs to change. I emailed you the policy, but I failed to make any copies of it.
You have in front of you the recommendations from Explore Branson Tourism for things that we think we could consider as changes to the allowable cost policy. At the top of the first page, and I won't read it all to you, obviously you're capable of doing that. It really is a sales opportunity fund, so calling it a marketing opportunity fund is somewhat of a misnomer. So you have suggestions as simple as renaming it to the Marketing, Sales, and Sports Opportunity Fund. Additionally, last year in 2025, there was a point in the year where we had funds that were not committed, and the district approved spending $100,000 of opportunity fund dollars on the Hallmark campaign that we were able to do. And so putting in some guidance that would reflect if there was a point in the year where dollars were uncommitted. You heard in the report from Ashley this morning, currently we have $70,000 that are uncommitted for 2026. If there was a point in the year that the Finance Committee and the district would want to release those to marketing, so that marketing could use those funds for additional campaigns, that guidance would help us as we plan our year. You also have, and it's on a third page that Ashley handed out, something that we would ask you to consider is a sliding scale. Currently, with the Opportunity Fund, there are set limits. So, for example, currently for sport, there need to be 500 participants in an event for that event to qualify for dollars. What we would ask that we look at instead is some kind of sliding scale. This would help us to incentivize groups that are coming in softer seasons. We would do this by, and this is an example of a potential sliding scale, but if that were something that the district agreed with, that would help us and help groups. We could incentivize stronger on softer months, and they would have a higher threshold to meet on months where we already have a lot of business. And you can see there the dates that we have identified, potential changes to the number of room nights, either total room nights or peak room nights. In addition, the sports team specifically had mentioned that 500 is a high threshold. As I said before, the sports team utilizes the city opportunity fund more than the district opportunity fund for that reason. If we could look at lowering that threshold, the sports groups could make more use of the opportunity fund dollars if that threshold was not 500. And then we had some additional language when it comes to opportunity funds. In section B, funds can be used for bid fees, direct subsidies, transportation to and from the district and within the district, advertising, signage, speaker fees, sponsorships, receptions. We would ask that we include some verbiage that we could also use them for customized experiences, incentive programs, welcome receptions, branded supplies, and destination showcases. Again, that helps us create better experiences for groups that are coming into town, and we can provide information on what each of those could include. But on the opportunity fund, that would help us, that gives us better tools to use the funds that, use all of those funds in a year, and create experiences for groups that are coming into town. Questions about the opportunity fund specifically?
You had mentioned something about sports uses city dollars, and since we have a sitting member of the city council on here, I'm wondering if we can actually see those budgets side by side at some point in time to be able to see what the city is giving to the fund and what the TCED is expected to give to the fund.
I was actually wondering if boards can actually double dip on that. Can
They are
get-
not.
Okay, I was
They are
curious
not
about
allowed
that.
to.
That was something that came up in my mind as you talked about that, so.
Sure. So to your question first, they are not allowed to.
Okay,
if
you can only
they are-
use one or the
yeah,
other.
That is correct,
Okay.
one or the other. And then I do believe that when we present our marketing budget, we do present that as a combined, statement so that you can see, the efforts, our combined Explore Branson tourism marketing efforts, and which pieces that come from the district and which pieces come from the city. We certainly have that information and can, show that.
Are they combined or side by side, so you can look and see what's?
They are not combined. The
Okay.
city has separate GLs, separate expenses, separate, everything is siloed for the city. I believe theirs is 100,000, in the opportunity fund, and the district's is 175. So it is not one pool of money, it is two distinct opportunity funds.
Okay.
On the second page, there are, some additional recommendations that we have. Section 3 of the allowable cost policy goes through non-allowable costs and allowable costs. Some things that we would request be considered. Currently, education is not an allowable cost. We would ask that 50% of education be considered as allowable. That would allow us to essentially double what we're currently paying for out of admin fee dollars. If the district would consider reimbursing up to 50% of education, that we would be able to provide more education opportunities for CVB employees. Another item that we would ask for consideration on, currently it is not reimbursable if there's a no-show at an event, but that is defined, it is not, if there's a weather or if there's a flight cancellation, anything that affects our ability to travel, that is then considered a no-show. It is not our intent to travel, it is our ability to travel. And so, in conjunction with that, flight insurance is not a reimbursable cost. So we would ask for some flexibility on either or both of those items, that it be considered non-reimbursable when it's out of our control. And if flight insurance were included, again, that would offset those times when we are not able to travel and it is out of our control.
I mean, the other option is to book refundable tickets. right?
Yes. So also, not refund, currently in the not reimbursable category is anything, in terms of flight upgrades, priority boardings, anything that's extra on any flight. And so oftentimes, the flights that are
Depending on which
reimbursable,
carrier, yeah.
oftentimes those are in the higher packages that are currently considered upgrades that we are not allowed to pay for with reimbursement. So I do think there's, again, at the board's discretion, I do think there's some room there that some changes could be looked at. And then lastly, on the non-reimbursable items, currently employee mileage is in a 30-mile limit. We would ask that that be moved to 15. On the allowable cost section, we had a couple of opportunities. Currently, co-branding is not specifically mentioned. Corporate sponsorships and partnerships are mentioned. We would add some language that specifically includes co-branding. So if we are bringing in an event, we are able to brand Branson alongside of Connect Faith, or Branson alongside of SIDA when that group is in town. And then lastly, travel for sales events is reimbursable. We would ask that that also be expanded to include advanced site inspections. So for example, when we are putting on an event in another market, being able to travel a little bit early, see the space, make those decisions wisely, have face-to-face conversations with vendors. That makes it, it gives an advantage in negotiations. If everything is done over the phone, obviously you're limited in what you can see and what you can do. And then lastly, on the interpretation section, we had asked that if there are any exceptions or changes, that those always be noted in writing, and those always should have approval by the executive director. I know there's a lot of information.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I think
We want to give you time to digest it. We want you to be able to ask questions.
I think as I look at all this, the first thing that comes to mind is I like the idea of opening it up so we actually use the dollars, okay? So that's what it seems like the kind of the driving thought is behind some of these changes. I think the problem for me is there's a lot in here that I can't even see the original allowable cost policy, so I don't really know exactly what the changes are. And without going through that, I'm not sure that I could get on board with a recommendation until I have time to go through it all. But I do like that idea. The only thing that bugs me a little bit is there's kind of this dichotomy between we want the ability to use more of the dollars, but then if we don't use them, we want to get them anyways. So that kind of feels a little weird. I'm not saying no, that feels a little odd. So anyway, I'd like to look at the policy and try and figure out exactly what the changes are before I make a recommendation on it.
And that was in email to everyone with the monthly agenda. I apologize, I did not print additional copies of that.
No, that's all right.
I didn't either, and it did go out, but I can send it out again today. If you would send me
Yes,
these
I will.
electronically, then I'll include everything and the Q1 marketing opportunity fund in one.
Aaron, I was gonna ask you,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned comparisons to Scottsdale, Gatlinburg, Lake Charles.
Yes.
Do you have access to their allowable cost policy?
So, there's research in all of this. We didn't just throw out a bunch of ideas and go, hey, this sounds
Yeah.
fun. So, those are all based on research and information that we've gathered from industry peers, from the research that we've done, from reaching out to contacts in the industry. And to address your point, Mr. Seitz, I don't want it to come across that if we don't use it in this way, we want to use it in this way. I think what is really to look at is the strategy involved around how to make an impact in the groups and sales market more for those shoulder seasons.
Yeah.
And this date range and sliding scale is a perfect example of doing that. I don't think that's ever been done in this destination, but it is standard in any other destination. You have a sliding scale. I can give you an example of the way it was done in Scottsdale. You can imagine that is not peak season,
Yeah.
June through August, right?
Yeah.
So the way we incentivized, you pay for their air conditioning. You
Yeah.
give them $1 incentive to pay for their air conditioning while they're in a convention center for X amount of days. So if we can get creative, instead of it just being, you book this many rooms, you get this much money back. It could be that they come into market and they say, we don't want that check at the end. We want a welcome reception from Explore Branson that has live music and wows our groups when they arrive on site. That gives the sales department the flexibility to say, they don't want a check at the end. They want an event that's gonna cost $10,000 with live music, with one of our entertainers, to welcome them and wow them into the destination as they have their conference. So it opens up a flexibility window, instead of just cookie cutter, same way that it's always been done, thinking that we're going to change the way that we sell and make a difference in the market month to month. This opens up flexibility. And then having those summertime conversations where marketing then gets thrown, we haven't used the opportunity fund in August and September, hurry, put a plan together, spend this money. We think that it would eliminate that and build and empower the sales team to have some more creativity and flexibility, so that come summertime, I go to Ashley and go, what's your opportunity fund looking like? She's gonna be able to say, you know what, we're really going to spend that and we're gonna get more business in return. So that's the ultimate goal. So that mindset, when you're going back and reviewing all of it, would be
Yeah,
recommendation.
yeah. I was just gonna say thank you for using best practices in other
Absolutely.
places and bringing them here. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, and that flexibility is what you need because you're in negotiations, right?
Yes.
And so, in
Yeah.
every negotiation of every group looks a little bit different unless they see the blueprint and they know, which is why you have the same groups coming over and over and over,
Exactly
because
right.
With
they
no
know,
growth.
they
Yeah.
know what box they fit in,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you don't have an ability to change the shape of the box.
Exactly.
Help me a little bit, the one I'm struggling with a little bit is the reimbursement for seminars, education, personal development, because I've always kind of looked at it as the admin cost, or the admin fee is for you to hire your employees, you to do whatever with your employees, then the marketing bucket is for you guys to go do that piece, so I'm not sure there's another contractor that we would work with that we would reimburse some of their education costs for their employees or their development, so why do you think that's an expense that we should bear outside the admin expense that we pay, or the admin fee?
So what we have seen in looking at other markets and looking at that industry standard comparison, we have seen that education is commonly included. We are, as our proposal, we have proposed 50% as opposed to putting it all back on the district. We do think that we have a responsibility and a role in that, but that's where we came up with the 50%.
I could also add a little to that. So a lot of times on the sales side, when we're traveling, the way that it's worded right now is if there are not sales appointments, desk side appointments where we're sitting down and meeting with them face to face and writing out, then those aren't reimbursable. And there are many instances where the networking and like the relationship building side of sales, which is super important for us, happens not at an appointment necessarily, but in another setting where sessions are included. And so I think there could be a case made for the education piece. Also helps us be better at our jobs, obviously. But there's a lot of networking opportunities that happen at those same conferences that could translate into business back in Branson as well. So I think we're just a little limited by not including that. So I agree with Aaron's statement. It is a shared responsibility, definitely, but that's some of the other side of it.
And then on the fee reimbursement on hotels, so say on the second page, unless caused by unforeseeable and unavoidable events. So what if, the employee gets sick the night before and can't go? Does that fall under the unforeseeable and unavoidable events?
We actually had that happen very recently. We had an employee on the road, arrived at the destination, was fully prepared to attend appointments and sell Branson, and had to go into the hospital. Fortunately, we had another industry partner who was there, and they were able to step in and take those appointments. At this point, and with the current allowable cost schedule, her travel and her expenses are not reimbursable. We're gonna take care of those on the chamber and CVB side with admin dollars. But it wasn't a lack of intent on the sales team and on the salesperson to go and sell. Again, we are just looking for a little flexibility there on what is allowable. A lot of times there are things that are completely outside of anyone's control. With the state of the world today, if flights are canceled, if there is technology that shuts down an airport, if there's a weather event in another part of the world that impacts our ability to travel. I agree with the policy. If we just don't show up and do our jobs, you shouldn't be paying us anything. But if we are there and trying to sell and doing everything we can to get to an area to sell Branson, we feel like that's the best we can do in most situations. And again, we feel like something as simple as travel insurance would help bridge that. That helps protect you, that helps protect us. Travel insurance is relatively low cost, but that would help pay for some of those items if a flight were canceled by circumstances beyond anyone's control.
Could that be addressed by the second bullet, if you were to approve unless caused by unforeseeable, unavoidable events, if you were to not do that, but then modify the additional fees to get to Mr. Grocock's point, would that give you is it the insurance that's gonna carry the bucket on that primarily?
I think that it could.
Just an observation.
Is this something that maybe needs to go to the subcommittee for further scrutiny before we make a motion and whatever on this? And I'm just asking, is everybody clear on everything on this, or is this something we need to do more studying and asking questions and before we?
My thought was we could study on this on our own in between now and the May meeting date that will interfere with the golf game.
The golf game?
Well, you know, when you're scheduled for a meeting and to be out of the office, sometimes you just out of the office even if the meeting's canceled. But in May, we're on the schedule for an if needed meeting. And I think with this and the next item on the agenda, it probably would be a good idea to have those two items stand on their own on the agenda and try not to add to.
So do it in the May meeting?
That's what I would recommend, because it's gonna take some rewriting the policy, because I want you to be really sure what you're recommending
Right.
before we do vote and send it to the board, so we don't have to go back and do it again.
So do I have a motion to put this in the May meeting agenda and not take action on it this time?
Before we do that, is there a way that you can take the current allowable cost policy in a Word format and redline these changes in there so that we're not bouncing back and forth? Maybe you've already done that, I just haven't seen it. But that way we're not sitting here with these documents here and then trying to go over there. We can actually see, knowing that the language may not be exactly perfect how you want it, but at least lets us see it in the context of the whole thing.
Yes, I do not have the current policy in an editable format, but I am sure that we can get that and we can make those red line changes.
That'd be great. Use a PDF converter, or Angela might have the Word version, I think I've seen it, so. That's helpful for me to be able to see it when reading that way.
I know we went through a bunch of this stuff
Yeah,
a couple, 3 years ago.
I remember.
Made some changes, it was lots of fun.
It wasn't fun then either.
Thank you.
And I think the overall idea is, I don't think anybody here is saying, no. I just think we just need to understand that we like the gist. I'm not speaking for everybody, but I think I can. That the idea is good, we just can't approve it without the details.
Yeah.
Mostly so you have clarity, because you guys are doing a
Yeah.
good job of following the policy as
Yeah.
written.
Mhm.
And so we wanna make sure that whatever we approve actually makes sense with what you're trying to do.
And we're putting those dollars there for a reason, we wanna spend them. So, if we need to open up the policy a little bit to allow you to spend them, that makes sense.
So we need a motion.
What was the motion to table it to May?
Yeah.
Do you need a motion for that?
Yeah, do we need a motion for
I
that?
think you need a
We don't
motion
need
to
to.
table
We
it.
don't need a
Okay.
motion.
Okay.
You just don't take action.
All right. So we will have a May meeting.
I think we should have a meeting,
Okay.
yes.
Get that on your calendars, everybody. We will have a May meeting. Okay, next we have the 2025 agreed upon procedures for the audit.
This is another one of those documents that's hard to look at and see what I've done to it. There are some things in it, and Heather discovered them this week when our auditor is on site at the chamber doing the compliance audit for the year. One of the things is, contract requires quarterly marketing reports, and we're receiving monthly reports, so it's very hard for the auditor to check off on monthly when the contract requires something else. What's the other item? Do was one other.
It's just a matter of reporting.
Oh, the three lanes.
Mhm.
Because we changed our contract this year to include marketing, sports, and sales teams, that's another change that probably needs to be added to the, agreed upon procedures so that all compliance is verified within all 3 lanes of operation. But again, I think I sent you my suggestions. I reworded it a bit, took out a couple of duplications and tried to shorten the document a little bit, but it's still a complex monster.
And isn't sports a sales function as well?
Yes, but
Okay.
their organizational structure has 3
Okay, the 3 branches.
branches,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So, I can send that again. I cannot make it a red line document just because it is very different from the original in format. I didn't change a whole lot, so the quarterly and the 3 branches are the 2 main changes that need to occur, and then if there's anything else that you feel is duplicated, I'll include the contract with the policy so that you can refer back and forth to it. I made the references a little more clear to what section we were looking at for what we were expecting to get under the contract, and having the auditor verify that it was received, or that the task was completed. It's another thing tonight, in my opinion. There's a lot to it. The contract, I swear I read it 4 times a week, just to be sure I'm doing it correctly. It's very complicated, but if you wouldn't mind looking at that too.
Are there significant changes?
Besides the 3 branches? We need to figure out how to deal with the reporting, because now instead of 4 reports, we're getting 36 reports.
Right.
So, another way we could help the auditor with that and not balloon the cost of that audit might be to include the compliance sheet that Sarah has seen from time to time that shows we're getting what we're supposed to be getting on a monthly or quarterly. Incorporate that into the document, so perhaps it would make it less time consuming for the auditor. Well, yeah, you too. But if you don't have to provide it, then that's a plus too. That's where my mind is.
I think we all appreciate having the monthly report, so we don't want to go any further backwards at all.
No, but it is a contract compliance audit, and that means that the contract says quarterly, so we need to reconcile that difference somehow.
So we're moving that to the May agenda as well. Okay.
There's a lot, and if you've got questions on it, call me, email me, and I'll try to help. But there's a lot in the contract.
Is there anything in particular we should be looking out for in that?
Duplications, there's no reason to get the marketing report over here and the marketing report in a different paragraph. I think I've eliminated some of that,
Okay.
but there may be other situations, or you may feel the request is redundant. There are some things that maybe are similar, maybe not identical, but very similar, and if you've got one answer, you need the same second answer.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Now, it's my turn to talk about the sales incentive program, and I presented this to the special TCED meeting we had, a couple of weeks ago. In February of 2025, the Financial Oversight Committee was presented by the CBB a sales incentive program for the vacation guide. And as part of that sales incentive program, it was gonna be that that we were gonna pay them up to $58,000 for sales incentives. and that we were, that some of the people may not take money that we're selling, some people may not take money, they might take a extra day off, or get a massage certificate, or this and that and the other. And also it said that there would be no payment to the CEO or the vice president in that proposal that they gave to us. And I've got the proposal in here if anybody wants to look at it. I know you all slept since then. And then that was, we motioned second for the sales incentive, it was approved, and then it went to the TCED on the Thursday, and they approved it as well as a sales incentive program. Well, when it came time for payments, I was presented with a sheet that had several payments on it to individuals, not people that had sold, but people that had helped with the project. And it kind of raised a red flag to me because it was issued and motion and second that it was a sales incentive, and then it was paid to individuals for things like graphic design and storytelling and leadership and all these different responsibilities with producing a vacation guide. The chairman had presented a document that showed the history of the vacation guide for the last 5 years, and it showed that in 2025 we had actually a $200,000 profit compared to the previous years. But the chairman, what he hadn't presented in the 2 years previous is that we had a third party that was producing the vacation guide, was paid a 30% commission on their sales, and they also were paid $56,000 to produce the vacation guide. And then he also had omitted from his presentation that there was a 40% increase in vacation guide prices for the 2025 issue. So that's where it came from. It was decided within that meeting that the motion was not clear enough. That's why I made the caution about the motion earlier today, is that the motion was not clear and concise and didn't say sales only. We just, so the TCED, based upon the information that was supplied to them, had decided that it was just basically a bad motion, that we did not do our job when we made the motion, and that they were entitled to the money. So I just wanted to make you aware of that in clear transparency, because we are the Financial Oversight Committee. The buck kind of stops with us as far as transparency with the public and the public tax dollars. And I just wanted to make sure we're doing our due diligence as we go forward. Any questions? Okay.
Is that going to need to be revisited then?
Well, we probably need to revisit it for 2027 or 2026, yes.
So you mean revisit, has there already been a decision made on that?
We haven't approved of any kind of program for
So it wouldn't be revisiting, it would be deciding the first time for
To do it.
2026.
Correct.
I just wanna make sure I didn't miss that decision.
And when we do that, we need to specify what is
Yes,
allowed.
yes, yes.
For the record, the incentive is approved in the budget for this year.
Okay. Is it for sales?
Correct. You approved it in the budget.
Okay, any announcements or public comments? Congratulations,
Yeah,
Alex.
I appreciate
on getting
it. So,
elected.
yeah, so with that, I have just joined the Board of Aldermen in the City of Branson, so I have made the choice, this will be my last FOC, and then this week will be my last Board of Directors meeting, so I just wanted to tell everybody I've been serving with on the FOC. Thanks for letting me be a partner with you guys in this capacity, but the reason for that is, I wanna keep the two pots of business completely separate. And then I also want to be a good steward of the district. So I'll still continue to champion the causes of the district, the CBD, but I want to keep those two lines of traffic completely separate. So that's my announcement.
That's your exit speech, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Alex, thank you for all you've done for the Financial Oversight Committee and on the TCED. We really appreciate
kind of glossed over a little bit, but I would like to just bring up the fact that the vacation guide only has one outstanding invoice. In the history of this destination and our production of the vacation guide, that is the first time that has ever happened in this destination, that we will end with a fully paid for vacation guide, and we won't be rolling over advertisers year over year, allowing them to advertise for free.
Yay.
That's good.
Because you lowered the
Your
hammer on
incentive
it.
is worth it.
The incentive doesn't get paid unless they pay for the ad, so.
Yeah.
Correct.
Somebody has their interest in it.
It sounds like we just need some clarity on.
Absolutely.
And it's,
But the
I
vacation
think,
guide, like stellar.
I remember the
mean, unheard of.
discussion,
Yeah.
and it was, we were all for the premise, so.
Yeah, I was here that day.
And I was just gonna mention, Caney County Partnership today, so this is a very unique area, Branson, you know, I'm a banker here, I can tell you firsthand, most bankers and examiners don't understand this market, you know. So, one thing I was glad to hear that the chamber is doing is I guess a visit to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. It's gonna be the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and it's open to any interested business community member that wants to go there. They're gonna look at their sports complex, and they're gonna look at other things, because, you know, like we said, best practices are best, you know, hey, they're doing something right there, and, so I was just gonna mention that, and if anybody's interested.
It's June 9th through the 11th.
June.
Did I say
Okay.
June?
You just said 9th through the 11th, I didn't want
Okay.
anyone to think it's May.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I'm sure a lot of you were at the, annual meeting, was that last week?
Tuesday.
But, super excited about the Harley, rally here, and what's the date on that, Heather?
That's September 9th to the 12th.
9th to the 12th, yeah.
Jesse James Dupree came in on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in Branson, you either wanna be here for that, or you wanna leave town. Yeah.
We might use that as a tagline.
Yeah.
You know, Greg could be a marketing consultant, just saying, you know. New partnership here.
I don't have
There's an
a-
extra little desk outside of my office if you wanna come roll it up, you know.
Not to take away from that, but there is an Indian rally and a Harley rally on Indian Point every year.
Okay.
Just saying.
Well, what is that?
The Indian rally, they're all down here at Hunter's Friend, and the Indian rally is coming up in May.
We've tried to promote that before and they've told us no.
Really?
Yes,
Mike
they
Cooper
said,
told you
we
no."
don't want all these people to show up.
Oh my goodness.
I have it in writing.
Well, I'm not gonna come.
Yeah.
Okay, so May, what's the dates of the Indian?
You know, I can get those to you, I'm pretty sure. that
Okay.
they're the different ones.
And the Harley rally?
That's in June, but I don't know them right off the top of my head.
Okay.
Sorry.
If you send it to me, I'll send it out.
I can,
Yeah.
I most definitely can. Yeah, they put up a big teepee down here at Hunter's Friend. Hunter's Friend, that's like 21, 22 years they've been doing the Indian rally, the Indian motorcycle rally, I know for sure. The Harley one is newer, but the Indian rally, because they were Indian Point, right?
Yeah.
So they did
That's
that quite a
awesome.
while. Anyway, I'm sure the one in Branson will be much larger, I'm sure. but-
We can make the one large out here too.
Any other announcements to be made? If not, I take a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All opposed?
Yeah.
You can stay here.
So, if you're opposed, have to resign from the board.
Yeah, you can stay here. Okay, so we will have a May meeting, so please put that on your calendar.
Yeah.
Because it was as needed,
Might be a-
and you will have it.
I'll send a reminder out with all this giant email.
All the fun
Well, Alex, I'm so sorry, but I understand, I really understand why.
And honestly, is still getting the big responsibility of getting the bathroom situation.
Right.
I'm taking cookies. Do it for the ride. Let's see what actually for the ride.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, for my drive.
Yes.
I'll see you later.
All right.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye, thanks for coming.